Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, sir. May I now request His Excellency, Mr. Emmanuel Macron, President of the French Republic, to give his remarks to the media.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Narendra Modi.
Thank you,
Mesdames, Messieurs les
Prime Minister Modi. Thank you, ministers, ambassadors,
Mesdames et Messieurs les journalistes.
journalists, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Prime Minister, for your warm welcome here in India. It is my fourth official visit here, and it follows a year after your visit to France for the summit on artificial intelligence and the bilateral meetings in Marseille. We do not forget what happened then and the opening of the consulate in which we both participated. The cooperation between India and France is now stepping up because of a change in the international order. As we've already said, we will continue in the coming hours and days to strengthen this relationship that has been marked by our trust, our openness, and our ambition. We will speed up our partnerships, our strategic partnerships at global scale, which will set a new page for the international cooperation between France and India. This comes from a common understanding and a common commitment that we've followed for the last 8 years. Year after year, events have confirmed our worst expectations. We hoped for a free and open Pacific, for cooperation in trade and various forms of collaboration. We thought that we would not be faced with any kind of hegemony. We believe in cooperation and efficient collaborative efforts. And we have seen these efforts bear fruit, such as IMEC, which you mentioned. During the G20, you defended these ideas. The governance of AI is also important. You had a summit on that. And I do not forget the cooperation that we launched 8 years ago. For bilateral relations, these are things that we want to step up. We have renewed ambitions for our students, for our companies, and in particular for our startups and small and medium enterprises and bilateral trade. France is proud to be a trustworthy partner within the Made in India program, and our industrial sectors are ready to provide all the cooperation they can. Our cooperation in defense is also important. Let me cite the Rafale fighter planes and submarines, as well as the final assembly line opened by Tata in Bangalore and Karnataka. The engines for the future NCA new generation fighter aircraft, the new air-to-sky missile air hammer, which will be made in India, is only one of many other projects that I would like to mention. Made in India is a label that will help us to ensure cooperation in all the newest technologies. The importance that both our countries give to strategic autonomy is a foundation of our cooperation and our ambitions in all these fields. Defense, as you've said, and so have I, is also a part of many other elements of our efforts and our ambitions. We also have ambitions beyond the stratosphere in airspace, space. India has moved forward very much, and there will be an important meeting next July on this topic. Civil airline engineering is also important. We have worked within the cooperation projects in Jaipur, and we will continue to do so. Critical minerals are also essential. We have signed a common roadmap, and India and France share a common vision on all these issues. We will not be passive when faced with hegemony, and we will not fall into the trap of not cooperation, as some have. We will continue to work along the lines of cooperation and in other fields too, such as railways and high-speed trains. France wishes to be a trustworthy long-term partnership in all these fields. We have continued discussions with the Prime Minister, with constructive and trustworthy cooperation that are in line with all the efforts that have been deployed in the last years. We have shared ambitions in order to increase our trade, the will to have more and more cooperation and technology transfer, and we will soon jointly join to the Indo-French Year of Cooperation, the Indian-French Year of Innovation, different measures that will help bring together our industrial sectors, our startups, enterprises and researchers. This is an important year that coincides to the spirit of cooperation that has driven our ministries in the last years. The French-Indian Center for AI in Medicine is another project worth mentioning. I will be here in New Delhi, and with the IMS, an important organization here in that field. Our partnerships will be strengthened and made closer in order to make our economy stronger and to create greater diversity in our economies. Strategic cooperation is something that will be strengthened in our Roadmap 2027, something that was launched in Paris in 2023 as part of our strategic cooperation. It describes the various points of bilateral and structural elements of bilateral cooperation. We will strengthen cooperation in higher education. And tomorrow in Delhi, there will be high-level university and research meetings, the Rush initiative, which brings together over 200 Indian and French educational organizations. This is in line with our ambitions. We've been too slow in the last years. France has often been seen too much as a destination, and we have perhaps been too inflexible when it comes to issuing visas to Indian students, and we will do our best to make this easier in future. We also want to ensure that projects are implemented. Various decisions have been taken to facilitate transit visas in our airports to make France an easier transit country for long-distance communications. That is why tomorrow at the French Institute in India, we will be strengthening our creative passports for Indian creatives, which will also underpin stronger cooperation with our respective creatives and artists. The lighting up of India Gate this evening will also be a symbol and a celebration of our cultural cooperation. Indian film directors will be present and will underscore the importance of our relationship. There have been difficulties in recent times, but we have undertaken all measures to make it easier for our countries to cooperate in creative and artistic fields. So this will be strengthened in the current and following years. This all underscores the important vision of a strong and efficient bilateral cooperation. We want a future for a respectful and open cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. This goes in hand with trade cooperation. We believe in fair exchanges. We reject coercion, and that's why I believe that the cooperation agreement between France and India is a good step in the right direction. We will continue down this path. Our efforts underscore our shared commitments for the development of artificial intelligence. So we spoke about this last year, yesterday as well. And we have a program which underscores these ambitions and will allow our countries to cooperate when it comes to data centers, reinforced computing power, large language model development, but more important, the dissemination of these technologies. We share the same will to have an international, an artificial intelligence that respects diversity. The world of la francophonie reflects the diversity of our world. And we believe that there is a need to better regulate artificial intelligence and social networks. We need algorithms that are more transparent, and we need to protect our youth. This multilateralism is also something that we've seen in the large conflicts. We need to put an end to the war of aggression that has been deployed by Russia against Ukraine by the implementation of the United Nations Charter. We need to strengthen our common efforts to put in place a moratorium that will be immediate, a moratorium to the attacks against the civilian population of Ukraine. In the same vein, we will strengthen our common initiatives to fight against terrorism and its financing, to put an end to terrorist activity, these groups that have made us all suffer these last years. This year, 2026, is a year for strengthening and speeding up our partnership and making it more concrete and give it teeth. That is why India, presiding over the BRICS group, and France at the head of the G7 will work together. President Modi will be a special guest at the G7 meeting in Evian. And that is why a few weeks before the G7 meeting, there will be an ad hoc meeting that will allow us to take concrete steps to work forward on an international program to prepare the Evian agreement. This cooperation is within a framework of bilateral cooperation, and it will be a moment for innovation and for cooperation between French and Indian youth, better cooperation between our research centers, our university centers, cooperation between the youth of the G7 and India. All of this will allow us to mobilize ourselves to confront the major issues that face us today. Alongside the Indian Prime Minister, I wanted to highlight our ambition, the strengthening of our resolve, and the partnership between India and France. This is a stable and very visible partnership that serves both of our peoples, and it has borne many fruits these last years, but we want to make it even more fruitful, thanks to the exchanges between our students and our private sector. We want to offer concrete solutions, whether it comes to solar energy, to the construction of larger infrastructure, and artificial intelligence. We need concrete and real results, and that is the spirit in which we want to move forward with Mr. Prime Minister. Through bilateral agreements and within the framework of our respective presidencies of the G7 of the BRICS, we will work in order to create greater convergence with our common visions. Thank you very much for your attention, ladies and gentlemen.